I'm Aaron Gregory Austin, and you're listening to Honestly Biased News and Community on GAYBC News Radio. Hello, beautiful faces. My name is Aaron Gregory Austin. Welcome to our new format. This is Honestly Biased News and Community. Now you can see my beautiful co-host, Patty. Hi, Patty. How are you?
I'm doing well. Can I share some exciting news?
I would love to hear exciting news after the last few weeks.
Tomorrow at noon, I go in for my COVID vaccine.
I'm so jealous right now.
Yeah, the perks of being in school for healthcare.
Yeah, right? Yeah, I've been seeing that. Go ahead.
Oh, they want us vaccinated before we start doing clinical rotations. So
it's smart. I had someone on Facebook today I saw, and I think his brother is in like a nursing home and got a vaccine. So, which is exciting. But yes, welcome to the new format. We'll still have podcast hopefully, but we want to make it more of a show now, and we have the amazing Patty here. What we're going to do is we're going to start with some COVID numbers again. I really hope in the next few months with this vaccine and everything that like this is not an exciting segment we talk about every day.
Well, as others have been saying, and I'm just going to reiterate this from everyone, it's not going to magically get better on the 20th. That's not how this works. That's
right.
Not how this works. So it is going to continue to get worse for at least a month or two. Like that's going to happen. Mm-hmm. So currently, worldwide, we're looking at 95 million people have been infected. Over 2 million people have died. Here in the US, we have 24.5 million infected, and we are just now hitting the 400,000 mark for the number of deaths. So
am I wrong, or wasn't our last show at 300,000?
I think so. Oh my God. Exponents are weird that way. When it jumps that fast, it's kind of hard to keep track of. But Oregon, you guys have been pulling in some solid numbers. You're up to 133,000 people infected with 1,800 dead. And for your comparative purposes, and because I'm egocentric, we have 252,000 cases in Mississippi with 5,521 dead.
Whew.
But while the numbers are bad and they've been getting worse, I do want to point out that some of the things we've been doing, while we may not have been doing them as much as we should have, and shame to all the people who were irresponsible over the holidays, but I wanted to give you some flu numbers for comparison.
Yeah, please.
Because turns out the whole masking and social distancing thing, also super effective for flu. In fact, more effective for flu. So because flu seasons are always over the winter, and so they span sort of the end of the year, I'm just going to give you the year the flu season started for ease of numbers.
Yeah.
But for the number, basically these are CDC numbers for the number of people tested and the percent of people that were positive. Mm-hmm. So 2017, they did 372,000 people tested with a 13% positive rate. 2018, they tested 364,000 with 7% positive. 2019, they tested 494,000 with 13% positive. It was a pretty gnarly flu season.
Yeah.
And then for 2020, they tested 441,000, so almost as many as last year, with a 0.3% positivity rate. Wow. That is 1,103 cases, whereas there are up to like 60,000 cases that test positive in a year on normal years.
So this is definitely something we should talk about, not because I believe any of this, but when I hear it, I want to confront the actual horse's mouth, so to speak, because a lot of people, especially people who are very anti-vaxxers and very anti-COVID, are stating that they're like, well, that's ironic. The flu goes down, but COVID virus goes up. What would you say to that?
turns out it's easier to get COVID than it is the flu. Funny.
Right.
How a new virus that we have no natural immunity to versus the flu that a lot of people have had the flu or a flu vaccine, so they're not as susceptible to it.
Yeah.
But the flu is still crazy contagious. And just for the people who want to say like, yeah, well, maybe not as many people are getting tested, or maybe not the right number are getting tested, just with the lower positivity rate, I wanted to give you the influenza pediatric deaths per year. No one likes it when kids die. And I know that all of these parents would give anything to have their kids back. So for 2017, 188 kids died. 2018, 144. 2019, 195. Wow. And for 2020, 1.
Wow.
Like these numbers really are going down. And my dad works in the ER, and he's saying no one is coming in with respiratory illnesses other than COVID. They're just not seeing any cases. And normally by this time in the winter, like the ER isn't able to admit people upstairs because upstairs is so full of influenza.
Yeah.
That's just sort of the normal winter thing. So if at the very least, what we're doing is helping keep influenza numbers down so that we can try and keep our heads above water with the COVID cases. But really be careful, people. Really keep wearing your masks. I mean, I have glasses now that I wear whenever I go into the grocery store or anything like that. Just, you can get it through your eyeballs. You can get it through any mucous membrane. But, it's just one extra thing to keep a little bit covered.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm not a big fan of like completely e-commercing everything. But like at this point, like I won't go to Costco. I love Costco. I will order everything online. They mail it to me. It's nice and easy. But no, people are just. I had a friend of mine even the other day who was saying like he had to like yell 6 feet like when he's at the grocery store because people just walk up, and I think sometimes it's not always conscious. It's not like consciousable. Like it's an unconscious. We're very used to like, oh, we're at the store, so this is life. Like,
but it's been 10 months. Like,
right.
Figured out people. Although oddly enough, I get to go to Costco here because there's only one in the state, and it's fairly new, and people aren't used to going to Costco, so it's pretty empty. And they're real. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. So we got a lot to talk. Look, the holidays happened, and then like things
wasn't that like 3 years ago?
Oh God. So the holidays happened. We took like about 3 weeks off from the show, happily, because with Christmas and things like that, we tend to take a break or something to that extent. But here's some of the things that happened in the last few weeks. So obviously, unless you've been living under a rock,
that'd be a big rock.
It'd be a big rock. So obviously all of the ballots were certified. When they were certified, something extremely major happened, which of course Biden became the winner. What happened on January 6th is irreconcilable, the most un-American thing in the world or in our country, excuse me, that's ever happened since even 9/11, and that was from a foreign I'm going to say country. Adversary. Thank you. So on the morning of the 6th, for weeks upon months, President Trump has been bellowing constant things about how the election was rigged. From July, actually, he's been saying the election's rigged, it's rigged, it's rigged.
He never accepted the results in the election that he won.
Yeah.
He could not accept those results because they didn't show him winning enough. So he had to continue to lie about those. Who in their right mind would think he would actually own up and admit that he lost?
Yeah. Well, and this is what happened too, is weeks later, weeks before the election started, he kept pushing away things like more voter suppression, trying to contest any results that were already approved, that once they were mailed in from the date of any mail-in ballots, any
any ballots from the military and things like that are being flown overseas. He didn't want those happening, basically.
He was also contesting any sort of, if a state made any changes to how they ran their election due to COVID, he wanted to make sure that those extra ballots weren't counted, because gosh darn it, if you weren't going to be a Trump supporter showing up without a mask to vote in person, then your vote shouldn't be counted.
Yeah. And can I tell you, I'm so glad you're on my show, because sometimes I'm like, sometimes I do this show by myself, and I can tell you, I need someone to fill in the gaps. I'm so happy you're in here, Patty.
That's what I'm here for. And at least I have my dog here who's like, we should be playing, woman.
Right.
Please.
What are you doing? I know. I see.
As he's like squeaking a ball at me in the background, that's what's happening.
It's great. It's great. I barely hear it. It's fine. So once he contested those results, then things got a little weirder. Basically,
although he lost over 60 fights in court, so I'm getting tired of all this winning.
Yeah, all the state and local governments used every avenue to try to prove, even red states, blue states, it didn't matter, prove whether or not there's election fraud. Even
although it's funny, all of the Congress people who were elected in those elections that were then contesting that election suddenly didn't want to call into question whether or not they had legally won. It was only Trump that had been unfairly, stripped of the win. Somehow, magically for Congress, that was all totally fine.
Right. And that actually brings me to my next point as well. Trump was not the only one spewing off election fraud. People like Senator Ted Cruz and other senators and politicians were spewing this out. So you've got people who are we just don't have people in our society that really does their research or even watches the news most of the time. They're grabbing from social media.
I will say with Ted Cruz is Harvard educated. He's smart. He's just an evil fucking liar.
He knows what he's doing. He's trying to bring over all of Trump's supporters on his side so he can win the next election. But he's doing it in the wrong way. So that's kind of the backstory about it. So as that was happening, there was some rumors on the Republican side, as well as Trump supporters, that January 6th, something big was going to happen, and they were going to protest the election, and all this was going to happen. So January 6th happens, and
Trump even pushed this on like Twitter and stuff, saying like, January 6th is going to be the big day, and urging people to show up. And
oh yeah, he was very much involved, more than a lot of people. Like, oh well, he didn't know it was gonna like get so bad. He's the one who kind of orchestrated all this. So basically, what happened was they created a podium right in front of the White House, where people could start with them. Trump said things like, "I will be there with you guys. Let's march the Capitol. Let's make sure that this doesn't happen."
He did a rally, a dozen blocks away, and just basically told everyone to go march on the White House, and he'd be right there behind them.
And
they did.
This was the morning that the Senate and the House certifies the election. It's what they call a pomp and circumstance. So it's not really like meant to be anything more than just certifying it. Yay, he won, move forward.
It's a formality.
It's a formality. There's nothing more to it. So when Trump said, "I'll be there for you," he literally got back in his car and went right back to the White House. It's great. Great to have someone like that.
The idea that he was actually going to walk anywhere that was further than 100 feet is laughable, because he's never done that the entire time he's been president.
Yeah. He ended up hiding in the White House, and according to one aide, he actually was enjoying every moment of the next few minutes of what I want to bring up, which is
the violent insurrection, the failed coup, that one?
Yes. So these supporters of Trump became rioters, just like that, screaming to have Michael Pence hung. Not a fan of that man at all, but he doesn't deserve to die.
He doesn't deserve to be drug out and hung on their erected gallows that they put up out front of,
Yeah.
the state house.
And I think it just got even more and more out of hand because you have people like Josh Hawley, who's actually a senator. Is he senator or representative?
Yes.
Yeah,
He's a senator.
And he's got his fist up like this, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm here for you guys." And he encouraged this insurrection. These were definitely rioters. There's a lot of people comparing this to Black
some
Lives
of them
Matter.
were well, and not all riots are created equal. I mean, some of the riots with the Black Lives Matter, there were a few riots. It was overwhelmingly very, very peaceful. But when it turned into a riot for Black Lives Matter, they burned a mattress. And, Ted Cruz is going on about how, there were literal flames. And it's like, do you really value a mattress more than human lives?
Right.
Like the one cop that they bludgeoned to death.
Yeah.
9 months of peaceful protests against police brutality, where the protesters had the shit beaten out of them on a regular basis.
Yeah.
They never killed a cop.
Yeah. Nope. In fact, actually, there's many times that there would be protesters who would literally pick up a police officer over their shoulders and take them away from the protesters and bring them back to the police. There was never a question of what they were doing. But what happened here was that these rioters that started out as quote unquote Trump supporting protesters broke down into the Capitol, broke our house and got inside. There's a lot of scary things about this. One, it's very odd that there weren't any checkpoints. They really just walked in.
Well, Trump refused to let the National Guard be called in ahead of time. They were called in much, much later by a joint decision from Pelosi and Pence.
Yeah.
Trump never okayed the National Guard coming in. He was totally cool with it happening.
Yeah. Well, even that, but the people who are the security guards and are supposed to be keeping everything, they could not do anything. They were told to just stand back and watch. So, so that was horrible.
But importantly, they did manage to evacuate all of the members of Congress before all of these insurrectionists got in there, because they would have ripped them apart.
Yeah. Oh, there's zip ties, right? That you could see.
They were looking to take hostages.
Yeah.
I mean,
unbelievable.
And someone also managed to take all of the votes out of the room from all of the states.
Yeah.
Because, if they could have gotten a hold of that, they would have continued, with we have the votes here and they say something different. And
light them all on fire, or this isn't right, or something to that extent.
But there's been discussion of various people that were seen at the protest later having inappropriate access to that building ahead of time, being taken on tours and things like that. And because they haven't been doing any tours there for the last 10 months for safety concerns, that these people were given access and allowed to sort of scan the area ahead of time. I think your sort of standard rabble rousers that got caught up with the crowd were a nice screen for a much smaller group of people who were there with much more nefarious intent. And I seriously hope that they take this seriously in investigating it and are willing to charge everyone to the fullest extent of the law, including any members of Congress that had anything to do with aiding and abetting domestic terror.
I agree. And I apologize. I have I have roommates that I don't know I'm actually recording a show today. So, hey, everyone, you get to see what happens when it's not a podcast.
This is what you get for putting us on video.
I know, right? I'm sorry.
All of the interruptions that actually normally don't happen to this degree.
I know. I'm really good at being like, yes, go away. I'm talking. I agree with you 100%. This is not a progressive. This is not a Republican, conservative, nothing. This is absolutely needs to be taken care of right away. Already they were
our democracy to make sure that our votes count.
Yeah, and already hundreds of people have been arrested. They're getting found. The FBI is looking for everybody who was in there and
A
arrested.
lot of people are being turned in by their friends and family, and the FBI is super cool with that.
Yes. I've been seeing it on Twitter a little bit. It's actually quite funny. I'm like, ooh, my favorite is there's this, I wish I had it up. I really wish, but basically this niece of a Trump supporter basically said, hey uncle, remember all those times you hated Black Lives Matter and you said that they should be arrested? Well, I'm sending your information to the FBI. It was the most amazing tweet I've ever seen. So they are working on that. Trump has been impeached now for the second time. A lot of people are
Can we call it the re-impeaching? I think we should.
It's the ugliest sequel I never wanted. But it basically, he was impeached twice. Impeachment has two parts, we'll just say, just to give people an idea of what happens. When someone is impeached, that doesn't...
refresher, because it's only been a year.
Right. Well, and for some reason, everyone keeps getting confused. But basically, with an impeachment, the House is the one that impeaches. They will try to find whether the president or not has in any way been against his own duty. The Capitol rioting was definitely, he was part of that, whether he admits it or not. And
he was impeached for incitement to insurrection.
Yeah.
That's the literal wording.
That's legit too. And so basically after, once someone is impeached, which he did get impeached for the second time, including 10 Republicans voting for impeachment, which is a very unheard of thing. Normally people are pretty one-sided about it. Unfortunately, Mitch McConnell is still running the Senate. So
a few more days.
Yeah. So the second part of this is that the Senate decides what to do with Trump. Now, Trump will be out of office as of this recording in about 3 days, but we can still do other things like prevent him from running from office. He could be charged with something more. I know the state of New York, and they are definitely pursuing a lot with him.
Yeah, for financial crimes, because I lived in New York for a couple of years, and that was well before Trump ran this last time around. And everyone in Manhattan knows what just an irredeemable piece of shit he is as a human.
Yeah.
Like, really there's no question.
Yeah. So that's the biggest update. The second one also is that the governor of Oregon released a statement stating there are no federal reserves of doses for COVID-19. Basically,
that was cool.
Yeah.
So I can explain how this works if you would like.
Please. Yes.
Okay. So the idea was we're going to prioritize making sure everyone who gets their first vaccine also can get their second vaccine, because you're supposed to get them 3 or 4 weeks apart, depending on which, if it's the Moderna versus Pfizer one. But those are sort of the closest times you can get them together. And so they were supposed to be holding half back for the people who got the first one, so they would definitely have doses for the second one.
Yeah.
So that's what they've been saying they're doing all along. But they recently realized, because you get about like 50% protection from COVID after the first vaccine, they're like, actually, it might be better if we give it to just everyone we can get a needle into an arm as soon as possible. So then at least everyone has some coverage rather than just a much smaller number having better coverage.
Yeah.
So that was the thought process with that. So then it was like, okay, so we're going to release all of these extra doses. We'll release the vaccine to anyone 65 and older, or, still including all of the healthcare people and people in nursing homes and things like that.
Right.
So we'll really broaden who can get the vaccine. And so everyone's been ramping up trying to deal with having all of these extra people coming in for the vaccine. And the government was like, oh yeah, we actually haven't been holding those other ones. Sorry, there's no reserve.
It's insane.
So for everyone that was hoping to ramp up and give a lot more vaccines.
Yeah. At the moment, I feel like Governor Brown has done nothing but make it a priority to get this done. But at the same time, it's like, how far can you go with it? Because you've got an administration who literally passed on vaccines. And that's part of the reason I think we're having a lack, obviously reason is we're having a lack.
And I forget the name of the exact statute, but basically during times of emergency, the president can just sort of take certain industries and commandeer them and be like, you will work. And Trump has refused to do that. He had his, Operation Warp Speed. So we're, going at, twice the speed of smell, because it's just sort of at whatever pace these companies are able to produce a vaccine, and they're not given, a whole lot in terms of extra resources. And, it's not their only priority. Whereas if we made this their only priority, we could get a lot more vaccine going. And if they could then turn over these recipes to other companies to start churning out the vaccine as well, that would also help.
I agree 100%. I think once we get, and again, I hate that our subjects are always about COVID. I'd like to be a little more creative, but we're, my thing is I know I'm at the lowest priority period. I'm very healthy. I work out nonstop. I eat very healthy. I'm the last that's going to get this vaccine next to someone who works in health. I don't work in healthcare. I work with people, but very briefly, like doors are shut, and so in terms of it, I think once we get down to the nitty gritty, a lot of people were thinking by June we'd all be vaccinated, but that doesn't seem like that's going to be happening anytime soon. And it breaks my heart because I know so many people want that to happen. But before we continue, I got to take a quick break. We're going to have like a little commercial in between. We will be right back.
Hello to all you shiny happy people. This is Randy Slovacek of The Randy Report, and you're listening to GAYBC News.
All right, and we are back with Honestly Biased News and Community with myself, Aaron Gregory Austin, and of course my co-host, which is Patty Lewis. All right, we just I'm tired. So after all that, oh my God, that was just so much.
Constant feeling of like Debbie Downer. It's just
I don't want to stare into the mirror because I'm just too tired to move my face. Like I'm like, but today we've got some lighter news. Our heroine, our favorite person in the world, basically, Betty White, is as of this taping turning 99 today.
Yes, sliced bread is the best thing since Betty White, because she predates commercially available sliced bread.
Awesome. And if people don't know much about her, which you should because she is amazing, Betty White, she started her career really early on. She was born 99 years ago, so 1922. And she is the longest running television actress of all time. Her career spans over 80 years, which is pretty incredible. In fact, if you go on Wikipedia, it gives you like the years. So 1930, 1950s, like where she did some of her famous things that people recognize her from. Mary Tyler Moore Show. The one I think of, The Tonight Show as well. But my favorite one, obviously, Golden Girls. She played Rose. And that was after that show ended after 1992, after B. Arthur decided to leave the series. Then after that, Rose, the character of Rose, Blanche, and Sophia, they did a spinoff called The Golden Palace, which didn't last very long. It only lasted about a season. Finally, after that, she was part of a soap opera in 2000s, The Bold and the Beautiful. And then she stopped by the Tonight Show. I can tell you one of my favorite things that she did was actually Saturday Night Live, because Saturday Night Live, there's a petition on Facebook trying to get her to host the show. And it was one of my favorite episodes of all time. But so she's had quite quite a long time.
Rare.
Yeah, very rare. Hot in Cleveland was one of the last things I can remember her doing, but I think she's also in a couple Hallmark movies, if I'm not wrong.
He also does that great Snickers commercial that I think came on during the Super Bowl,
Yes.
where, someone's hungry and so they're Betty White and they eat a Snickers and then they're back to being a big burly dude.
Yes, I love it. No, I'm getting all my sources off of Wikipedia. That way I am not in any way taking away. So if you want to learn more about her, definitely check her out. She is one of my favorites because my favorite thing about her specific type of comedy is that there's a lot of comedians out there, myself included, who can write campy comedy, but it's a lot harder to write situational or afterthought comedy. And she's so good at just talking, and you're just like, oh my God, that's hilarious. Like, what?
Yeah, she's great on the fly. Just, in any sort of comedy scenario, she's able to just be super quick-witted and just kind of knock you on your rear end laughing.
Oh, she's the best. And I do want to also comment, since of course I am a giant Star Wars fan, the man himself, the voice of Darth Vader. He was also born today, but in 1931, and he is now 90 years old, James Earl Jones. He has also had quite a great career, including a lot of it's the voice, because his voice is just so commanding. Lion King, Conan the Barbarian, Driving Miss Daisy. He reprised his role in the Lion King live action. Of course, Darth Vader. He's been in several Star Wars cartoons and movies as well. But he also has been in a lot of Shakespearean plays: Othello, Hamlet, King Lear, and more. But I want to throw a nice tip of the hat there for him. Again, you can find him and Betty White and a lot of what their life has spanned through on Wikipedia. Also, if you're not donating to Wikipedia, please do. It's a completely nonprofit. I do it every year, especially when they message me.
We need them around.
Yeah.
So if you have money to spare, if you've got a little extra, that $600 check that didn't immediately go to your credit card like mine did,
It's funny you say that. I actually paid off my high interest loan with my stimulus. Speaking of which, we got a $600 stimulus. Hopefully Biden will fall through with this $2,000, but a lot of times he's trying to push only $1,400, and as a progressive, I'm shaking my head at him. But
it's like, let's keep the $2,000 checks going, because this directly stimulates the economy, even for the people who do not necessarily need the money. This is designed as stimulus. The whole point is that you just go out and spend it.
yeah, and
That's
we really
what they
need it.
want you to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we need it more than anything, especially when people are at home a lot. Let them go and spend money on clothes, and let them spend money, like, get online. That's what I did. Like, all right. But in my head, I'm like, man, we have so much. We could just keep talking. We have so much to talk about this round.
The last couple of weeks have contained months, I swear. Like, even worse than like all of 2020 has been.
Well, we have to talk about our hottest topic. My hottest topic is mostly about you. I want to know what you thought of Mandalorian.
I really enjoyed it.
Right? It's amazing.
Well, and it was really cool to see a couple of things that I feel like they're getting better and more diverse writers, and they've finally gotten that message, because you had the primary story that was about a dude who's carrying around a baby and he's just making sure to take care of that baby. He is going to take care of it. It is his life's work. He's going to do it. And then there were a bunch of badass female characters who were just badass female characters. They didn't need the dudes.
Mm-hmm.
They could go totally without the dudes and just be their badass selves. And it was great.
Yeah. So how far did you get through?
I watched the whole thing.
Okay. So I'm not going to give spoilers. So but I do want to say the cameo at the very last end of the second season.
Oh, was that CGI or a lookalike?
That was okay. If people haven't, okay, spoiler alert, guys. If stop listening or fast forward through this if you do not want to know what happens at the end of season 2 of Mandalorian, because I don't want to break your heart. But I will give you a minute. Just kidding. Okay. So
you've been warned.
Yes. So it's actually the cameo was Luke Skywalker, and the so Mark Hamill, who played the original Luke Skywalker, he voiced him. And they did have somebody come in, and it was CGI'd. His face was CGI'd to be Luke Skywalker. So it was really brilliant. If you've seen Rogue One and Governor Tarkin, what is his name? Cushing has been dead for 30 years, and they were able to recreate.
But that was not nearly as well done as this one.
This was pretty damn good. Yeah, this was pretty
because
damn good.
it really did have me questioning whether they got a look-alike that they tweaked a little bit or if it was CGI, which I mean is the goal.
Right. I mean, and Princess Leia definitely was not as good as Governor Tarkin's. I felt like Governor Tarkin's was better, but it was also years ago. Like came out 2016, and still
rewatch it. It was still.
Like still, I don't know. Maybe I'm just in love and I just see past everything, and that's why I'm still single. It's fine.
Well, it's also one of those things. It only takes a couple of years to look back at it and go, "Why did I think this was so good?"
Right.
Because the technology is sort of coming along so quickly that even just after a couple of years, you're like, "Oh no, I can totally see that now."
Yeah, 2 words: Jurassic Park. Like, seeing the giant.
I didn't watch them because I was just like, no, you're gonna break my heart.
Oh, Jurassic Park's so great. You haven't seen the first one?
Well, like the new ones?
No. Jurassic Park.
No, I've seen the old ones.
Oh, okay.
I didn't watch any of the new ones because I was just like, nah.
Yeah, Jurassic World, we get into it. But okay. My last thing I really want is, since now people can see us, you should definitely show us your pup. Because he's like our co-host.
Here.
Oh, okay. Tell us about your puppy.
This is Henry.
Henry. I love that name.
And he's black, so he doesn't video very well, but
that's okay. I can see fine. He's like, now you want my attention.
He has a great squishy dog face. So he's perfect for that. But he is my boy. He's 11 and a half, and I've had him since he was 7 or 8 weeks old. He's a lab, and whoever mommy lab got out with. They told me it was golden retriever. That's a lie. It was probably a pit bull because, they want to cover those.
Probably.
But I wanted a dog who snuggles and fetches, and he does both to a brilliant degree. And he has been my whole in-person support since I left Oregon in May. So.
Plus with COVID and everything. Well, thank you for sharing. Okay, so next we have Mark Kurian. He's gonna kill me if I got the last name wrong, but he is the creator of BHL Media. Originally, there's a magazine that was attached to it as well. He's been on my show before. We had a really good time, but I wanted him to be my first video live person. So Patty, thank you so much.
You were most welcome.
And I hope to see you, or I will see you in a couple weeks, but
it will happen.
It will happen. But we will be right back with Mark.
This is George Takei, and you're listening to GAYBC News, the gayest show on the radio. Oh my.
And we are back on our first ever video broadcast of Honestly Biased News and Community. I brought one of my favorite people back. Hi, Mark. How's it going?
Hi, Aaron, Gregory, Austin. How are you?
It's going great. Besides all the crazy stuff that you and I won't talk about, Patty and I have already talked about. So we're going to leave that at the door, but
we leave that to Patty. Patty does it well. Mark Kurian, not so well.
Yes. So I want to talk about you because, a couple things. First of all, thank you for having me on your show more than once. That was fun.
Right.
Yeah, more than once. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I loved it. It was great because I think like the second time was very like last minute and your person didn't show up or something.
Yeah, I mean, you're the one that I go to when my people don't show up.
Rude. But okay.
Hey, listen, at least I don't bail on you like you did me.
I didn't bail on you. You're killing me. Okay, I bailed on you earlier this week. Fair, but
Literally, Mark, cancel all your plans. We will do this at 8:30, and then 8:30 at night, I'm waiting. I canceled my dinner plans. I canceled my doctor.
oh god.
And then I sat there by myself.
You remind me of the SpongeBob meme where he's sitting in the restaurant by himself with like a cup of coffee. I'm so sorry. I felt so bad. And
So it's my favorite thing to do is wait by my computer, phone, and in the dark. It's my favorite thing. I love it. I love it.
oh, okay. Well, as long as it's your favorite, then let me know if you need me to do it more.
Oh yeah, it would be great. Every Monday would be awesome. Thank you.
So I wanted to bring you back on my show for a couple reasons. First, for a major apology on that, obviously, but also because it's my first broadcast video show. You were literally one of my favorite podcasts. I've heard it like 3 or 4 times, not even joking, and I skipped to our part because I'm like, oh, it was so good.
I loved it. It was so fun.
Yeah.
It was fun. I mean, listen, you don't always have the right things to say in the sense of like, I don't like Mary Poppins, but other than that, it was great.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, and I also wanted to get to a place too and congratulate you because it was, I guess March will be like a year of your interviews, right?
Yeah, we've had 185 interviews thus far, 187, I think, actually.
Wow.
And it's so weird. It's one of those things where like you kind of I thought I was going to do it for a week, honestly. Like I was like, it was just an idea. We'd do it for a week, and 187 weeks or days later, here we're still doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think you'll still do it after like the restrictions have been lifted and all this?
Oh yeah. And I think once the restrictions are lifted, it's going to be even a much more fun show because I'll be able to do it in person with people. So, right now it is what it is because of COVID. But, I think it's going to be really fun to do it, in person.
Yeah. Can you tell me like a couple of your people, I mean, obviously myself, that inspired you, like your favorite ones? Because I know you were my favorite in the past year. And I really mean that. I had just such a fun time. And, the only other one I think was just as good was more on the depressing side, which was very powerful. But you were fun and I loved it. So tell me a couple of the ones that you were just like, because I know when I interview people, I had my political person. I asked him what he thought about the election, and he said, I said, what would you tell voters before the election and before Biden won? And he said, and he's from the UK, and he said, it's not about you. And it was just one of these like really powerful moments that I was like, whoa. So I want to know, is there like something during the year where you heard somebody and you were just like, whoa, that's a really strong statement?
I know this is a really cliche thing to say, but every person that I've had on my show has been someone that inspires me. It's someone that I feel like is living their life out loud. And, I have parameters of people that I want on my show. They've got to be living their life out loud. They have to be doing something good for the greater good of humankind, and so I don't have necessarily a favorite. I have moments that I definitely remember. Having my mom on the show was really powerful because it was a great example for people to see. Like she literally said, she goes, I remember when you came out to me and I had never been happier because I knew that you could finally live your most truthful life. And so to have that example and for that example to be my mom was freaking rad. Like, because that would have been rad if it wasn't my mom to hear someone say that. But then to have that added layer of it being my mom and it being on my birthday and her like crying through it and just going, it was the happiest moment of my life because I knew that my son was going to finally be able to live his authentic life. And to hear your mom, of course, I say to her, I'm like, Mom, you didn't really give me a good coming out story. Like, you didn't kick me out. You didn't tell me that I was worthless. You didn't tell me that the Lord was going to condemn me and kill me. How dare you? But it was a powerful moment to be able to share that with everyone, and for it to be my mom.
Yeah. I could see that being a really powerful show. I mean, I can say even when I started mine, I did not expect to keep doing this. Someone reached out to me and was like, "Hey, you seem kind of progressive and political and things like that, and maybe you should like do one of these shows with me." And I was like, "Well, I'll tell you what, I'll give me a few weeks, let me think about it. If I feel like I have a voice that's not already out there, sure, I'll give it a shot." So, but nothing
It's fun,
compared
isn't
to
it?
like,
I mean, listen, you get to learn from people that you love.
yeah.
There's nothing greater. I mean, these are people that I would have called and FaceTimed with anyway. So
Mhm.
might as well just put it out for everyone to read or hear. And
Yeah.
it was fun.
Well, and then some of the celebrities that you've had on there, I mean, I guess a lot of them too, including myself, they're even on this show, I'm portraying a certain presence. You get them on there and you're able to kind of pull some of that veil off. So people actually talk to you like they're friends with you, which they are, but it's just this really great connection that you have with these people that I've seen that I'm just like, wow, like a couple of them I've seen, I'm like, whoa, like I know that person. And then I get to meet them in a very different way than them being like, oh, business and things like that.
Well, and yeah, I mean, everyone that I've had on my show, I've had a connection with, and I've had time with, and I've spent a life moment with. And so I'm able to kind of like, hey, remember when we talked on the phone and you said, you know what I mean? And they're like, you shouldn't have said that. But, it's like, yeah, I get to, because I have real life moments with these people in real life, I'm able to kind of bring that to the show. And I think people appreciate that and enjoy that.
Yeah. Well, I know we disagree on Mary Poppins, and apparently
We don't disagree. The reality is that I am completely right and you are completely wrong.
I mean, and apparently Princess and the Frog is not like your favorite, which blows my mind away.
Well, no, but let me say, I don't have an adamant hatred for it like you do. Like, I can like easily sit here and be like, I'm almost there. I'm almost there. People down here think I'm crazy, but I don't care.
Yes.
Trials and tribulations, I've had my share. You can. Okay, so I'll stop now. But,
It's okay.
And I can tell you that's Anika Noni Rose.
And what?
I can tell you that's Anika Noni Rose.
And I mean, that movie, it's so funny. I had somebody talk to me about it that like inside, he took a class on Princess and the Frog and how it's still in some ways pretty racist. And I was like, I go back to it and I'm like, I felt like they were doing a good job.
I think they did a beautiful job with it.
Yeah.
And I loved, I do. I love that movie. Like, so it's funny that you brought up that movie.
Yeah.
You could have brought up like The Rescuers and I would have been like, I didn't like it.
The Rescuers was great. The Rescuers Down Under.
Okay, there we go. So that's one that you could bring up that we totally disagree on. It's two rats. I hate rats. They're ever in my house. I want to like,
oh.
Then again, I love Ratatouille. So I'm just a big hypocrite, I guess.
I mean, we all are in some way.
Why do you not like Mary Poppins? It's like she's there to save the father. The whole time you're thinking she's there to save the children, but she's there to save the father. And at the end, there's this moment of him going, oh my gosh, I've had it all this whole time.
I don't know. I guess I love Julie Andrews, by the way. I love her.
Didn't we hang up right now?
I'd be like, and the end. But I think the movie for me, it felt like it just dragged for me. I didn't connect with the songs. I didn't like, okay, so comparison, right? Princess and the Frog, almost there, hard work. She's working to like get her. I connect really well with that. Or was the one where the old lady singing better, getting better, or dig a little deeper, dig a little deeper. And that one, I get it. Like I emotionally can connect with that, but like, I don't know. It just, even as a kid, I remember like watching it and feeling like it was homework. I'm so sorry. But here, let me like tell you some news about Mary Poppins, because I've been doing part of my little like therapy, so to speak, for myself, because I have not been able to go to Disneyland or Disney World, which I am obsessed with. Disney World is actually coming out with a Mary Poppins ride, and yeah, and originally it was supposed to come out in 2020, but
we all know what happened there.
yeah. So it's actually been postponed, which is kind of scary because, they have things like oh my God. Can't win today. Stitch's Great Escape is a new one coming out. They've got like this light show coming out. Epcot's got a new restaurant coming out, and then they had like this Mary Poppins inspired attraction, and it's got like the house and everything, and the concept art is just incredible. I'm not brave enough to switch my screen yet, but I'm going to test it out eventually and make sure like as I record it works. Otherwise, I would like switch it and show everyone what it is. So in future shows, I'll be a little bit better at showing people my articles and where I'm getting the info. But it accordingly is delayed indefinitely. But I thought you would find just the idea of Disney World creating this Epcot Mary Poppins attraction to be quite exciting.
Love it.
Yeah.
You know, I will say this about Mary Poppins, like, the song Feed the Birds, which you hate.
Is it the Toppins thing? Toppins.
Tuppence a bag.
Mm.
Feed the birds.
Go back
That's
to
what
Frog.
she cried. While overhead the birds fill the sky all around the cathedral. I bawl every time. I think that when you actually listen to those songs and hear the words and respond to yourself in those songs, they're just powerful. They really are powerful songs for me. And, Mary Poppins isn't my favorite Disney movie of all time, but I just think it's a beautiful movie. And I love that the whole time you're thinking, oh, she's here to save the children. And then at the end, you're like, no, she was there to save Mr. Banks.
What did you think of the sequel? I think we've already talked about it, but did you like the sequel?
I mean, yeah. I don't take things too seriously. Like when people are like, "Oh my God, it like totally didn't like," I'm like, guys, it's a freaking movie. Like, this is not supposed to like radically change our lives.
Oh,
but God. I will tell you what sequel I liked better than the original. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Frozen 2. I thought Frozen 2
interesting
was when I found out, spoiler alert, that the was her mother. Yeah. I was bawling. I thought it was so and like into the unknown.
Show yourself. That movie.
Show yourself.
Yep.
I mean, the whole time. I just thought it was such a beautifully done movie. And I felt like it just perfectly picked up where it left off. I believe that, like, I don't know. I loved that movie. I actually watched it last night, crying hysterically the whole time.
Yeah. I will agree that I felt that I liked Frozen 2 more than I liked the first one. I love the songs more than the first one, for sure.
Totally.
The one thing that kind of irked me was I felt it was lazy writing to make, is it Kristoff, him chasing a girl the whole movie. Like, I wish they would have layered him more, but all he did was like waiting to get married the whole episode, the whole movie.
He did an 80s ballad song. How dare you speak of Kristoff when he did an 80s ballad song? It was everything. It was everything I wanted and more.
Oh, I couldn't. Like, that was I will fast forward that scene. Like, no, but Show Yourself, I'll watch it like a million times.
What is wrong with you? No one needs to watch your show anymore because you're saying things that are just terrible things.
Don't worry, we're going to edit that out. Okay, so we need to take a quick break, and so we will be right back, and we're going to talk your new updates to BHL Magazine.
BHL Media.
Media. Yes, we'll be right back.
Missed an episode of GAYBC News? Now you can download our mobile app for Android from the Google Play Store. GAYBC News Radio brings you the latest in news, politics, entertainment, and stories from the community in the USA and around the world. Head over to the Google Play Store and download the GAYBC News mobile app today.
Okay, and we are back, and we are with Mark, who is now part of. So I'm trying to address this correctly, but you are the creator and owner of BHL Media. Last time we talked, it was a magazine, had amazing people on it. Tom Hanks. That's the one person I can remember right now in my head that was there, but there's several really amazing people on that.
Nicole Kidman, Kristen Chenoweth, Kris Jenner.
Mm-hmm.
We've had some great covers.
That's awesome. So I have questions now because it's now online, correct?
So we decided, because of COVID, when something like that happens in the world, you have to stop yourself and go, what's the world telling me? Like, what do I need to do? And I recognized that the world was becoming a place where media needed to go out, and it needed to go out all the time. It had to go out quickly. And so that's what we decided to do. We decided to build BHL Media, which includes articles and a ton more video content. And it's really just supposed to be what, it's the magazine come to life, basically. And so it's really fun because, like I was telling actually someone on my show yesterday, I said, with BHL Media, I can now look at anything. I can tell as many stories as I want. And I'm not like worried that I'm going to have a 50,000 page magazine. So now BHL Media is really supposed to just be like everyone's kind of source for content, right? Like, we are an advisor now. We've gone from just a magazine to a leading world advisor on pretty much any subject you could think of.
Yeah, I want to talk about that because I noticed I went to a couple of my favorites. One is obviously travel. I love traveling.
Yep.
And the most recent one has Peru, Italy. Like, it really feels all encompassing. It doesn't feel so small, like BHL instead of like Beverly Hills.
Yep.
It does definitely go from feeling niche from there. Now, don't get me wrong. Actually, are you going to like do like quarterlies or do?
Yeah, so the magazine is still going to exist.
Okay.
But now we're just a lot more than that. Now I want people to go to the website every day. I mean, every day we have new content. Yesterday we had this beautiful article written by DJ Davids about his grandfather and what it looked like to be a gentleman's gentleman. The day before that, we had Desi Williams, who is this beautiful from the inside out woman that literally has just transformed her life in just one of the most beautiful ways. And then we still have the articles about the Hermes bag, and we still have the articles about beautiful homes and beautiful cars and all that. But we're just bringing in a lot more of kind of the triumph of the human spirit.
Interesting. Yeah, because so you go from luxury now, profiles, fashions, interiors, food, travel, beauty and wellness, the weekly mail, Simply Maria. And when I went on this website, it was really, I mean, I've been to freaking store websites that are a lot more difficult than this. So maybe you can help me with a couple of them that maybe I don't understand just because so tell me, the weekly mail, give me kind of an overview of what.
The weekly mail is done by DJ Davids, who is our men's lifestyle editor. Mm-hmm. So that is his column. And what that column is going to do is everything from learning how to Zoom properly to grooming, to the story about being a gentleman's gentleman. Next week, he's going to be writing something that's going to include a recipe. So it's really just kind of our men's section, and it's weekly MALE, weekly mail. And then Simply Maria is the counterpart to that. That is our women's lifestyle editor, and she is going to be doing the same thing. She's going to be talking about fashion within just kind of women's fashion to recipes to, makeup to, yesterday she did a podcast on how to pick out the perfect bra, which clearly I don't know how to do.
Well,
So
some of us guys like it, so we can encourage how to find the right one, but
totally lost on me.
Yeah,
But that's fine. But it was a fun interview that she did, and Maria Molino is just this incredible woman that just has a lot to say, and so we gave her own column.
That's really amazing. So tell me about the food section. I know when I visited you, we went and got tacos, and I think they were like the best tacos I've ever had. They were so good.
So what I've recognized, obviously, as we all have during COVID times, is that number one, there is obviously we can't go out to eat as much. And so we're cooking a lot more at home, but we still desire to have some of those really beautiful meals. And so like we did a whole article on using the white truffle. And using it in 5 different recipes, and so that you can really kind of take some of these restaurant quality meals and enjoy them at home, because guess what, we're stuck at home, but that doesn't mean that we can't, because you can still get these ingredients. It's amazing actually how many ingredients you could get just delivered to your door.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've honestly had a little bit of like agoraphobia type of feeling with all this COVID, because I'll go to like Costco, and if you've ever been to Costco, they've got giant carts, and everybody somehow forgets other people in the entire department store. And you're just like, why are you in the middle of there? Move. Like, don't you want to go home? Like, you want to be around this many people right now? So I've been delivering a lot at home. And I have to say the no-bake cheesecake that was published on December 22nd, I'm going to try. I want to give it a shot.
Listen to me. You listen, and you listen well. It is flippin' it puts the duh in delicious. I mean, it is so good. I have tried every recipe that we have on there, and I think I might get married because of that no-bake cheesecake.
I believe you.
Yeah.
So tell me
someone, and he is very, very infatuated with me now. So I'm great.
My heart, you have like literally, so I can tell you on my hand, people in my life that have blown me away because I saw them as someone different. Like, oh, this person will be nice, not necessarily a negative person, but like someone who is truly, genuinely kind. And very few people I find in my life where I'm like, wow, you are a selfless, kind person. And, you go to LA and there's a lot of mixture there. It's hard to kind of shuffle through who's genuine, who's not, who really wants to take advantage of what you bring to the table, which in some way we all do. We're all like, hey, I want to do this or this or this. And if the other person is like, oh, I can help, that's different than, hey, let me be your friend so that I can take advantage of you. Yeah. I've never felt that way around you. In fact, like I am obsessed with your kindness because, and even like, I know you and I, when we first met, there was kind of like this bubble of, I kind of sort of knew that you had some influence, but then seeing even like the Instagram posts and things like that and seeing all these people, and you're still just this funny, smart, interesting person. You deserve everything you want in your life. And I'm not trying to butter you up or anything. I don't butter people up, clearly.
We know that. That's why this means so much to me. I'm like,
you should take it, because I don't lie to people and I don't butter people up unless I'm being honest with them. And so I wish you the best on that. And I'm
gonna have several people that don't agree with you call you, and I need you to like really tell them what you just said, because I need a little help there.
They ain't gonna call me, don't worry. I ain't that big.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So I do want to talk about so the no bake cheesecake. There is somebody who you interviewed a few weeks ago, and I've just seen a picture of him, and I forgot his name now, which I feel really bad about. But can you tell me a little bit about, like, maybe the background of where you're getting some of these recipes? Because this guy, for some reason, I've had him on my Instagram forever, but I don't know him. So can you tell me?
AJ Diego, he's an amazing guy. He's one of those guys that, kind of has always been into baking, has loved it, has always, and has now, because of COVID, has decided, you know what, this is what I'm going to do with my life.
Wow.
And, we have like an amazing recipe actually coming out tomorrow of his, which I cannot wait to try to make. And you'll all have to go to the website and see what it is. But it's what it is he makes cakes based on alcoholic like drink recipes. So like the cosmopolitan cake or, a pina colada cake or, anything like that. But he has one recipe that is just delicious and amazing. And he has it tomorrow. But he's one of those guys that, like, when I talk to him, I'm like, you're doing what we all want to do. You've taken a passion of yours that you thought was just a hobby and are turning it into something that you could actually make a life with. You know what I mean? And I so respect that, because, one of the things that I've recognized because of COVID is that everything we've ever wanted is on the other side of fear.
True.
Right. Mm-hmm. So if you're a surfer, which I don't think either of us are real surfers, but I've surfed in my life.
You don't like the water.
They say, when a huge wave is coming after you and you know that you can't take that wave, what are you supposed to do? And most people would answer, well, you just swim as hard as you can towards the shore to get them out of that waves, but no, you do not. The secret is you swim right into the face of the wave so that you come out the other side. And that's just this beautiful picture of fear.
Yeah.
Never try to run away from fear, because fear will always catch up to you. Swim right into the face of fear. And guess what? You'll come out right the other side and you'll realize it wasn't that big of a deal.
I love that. Yeah. I know as, I acted for a long time and then started writing and directing my own films. And a lot of people will ask me, well, like, oh my God, how'd you make a movie with 12 grand? That's insane and impossible. And I was like, well, I pulled a lot of favors. A lot of people did it for free. And I'm like, I don't ever want to do that again, because I think everyone should be paid what they're worth, but you got to start somewhere. And, but
some people's worth is not in money. And I've had to come to that conclusion. Like, I know for instance, if someone were to ask me to do something for free, the only reason I would do it is because my worth comes from knowing that I could do it, or knowing that it's a challenge, or you know what I mean? Like, sure, business stuff, like, yeah, I tend to not do for free.
Yeah.
But I do a ton of stuff for free because my worth is not in the dollars. It's in what I can bring to the table.
And in Portland specifically, the film market is very saturated with a lot of users, especially in the independent film community. Yeah. And so, I've always promised people that, like, look, this is my first feature. If it gets distribution, I will be turning around and handing you guys money back. Like, I want to support you in some way. But even with it, it's funny. You just do it. You just start doing something. Like this whole podcast radio show, one person talking me through it. I was a little back and forth about whether I was going to do it. And then when I did, I started hearing good reception. Like, oh, this is a legitimate, you can interview well and you can do all this. And I'm like, if you ask me if I'd ever do this in my life, the answer is no. But
that's usually when it works out the best.
Yeah.
It works out the best when you have zero expectation. And like my grandfather used to tell me all the time, you can hold a lot more sand with an open palm than you can with a closed palm. And so when you do stuff like this and you're like, okay, universe, give me whatever, you can.
Yeah.
You're going to be able to hold a lot more than if you close your palm up to go like, no, I can do, it's like, you just don't want to do that.
Yeah. So I'm really excited about, growing this and continuing it. The whole live thing is very new, but the producer on the show was kind of adamant since about August. He's like, Aaron, you should do this. And I'm like, I don't know.
And you're great at it. Like, here we are having a conversation. That's what interviewing is feeling so comfortable that you're just sitting here. I've even like, I don't know if you've seen my body, like just moving, like I get more and more comfortable with you, and you're great at it. You're fantastic at it.
Oh, thank you. My goal is really to just listen and understand people regardless of their background, because as ironic as my show is called Honestly Biased News and Community, I like to get unbiased sides. I've tried to reach out and get like a Republican LGBTQ and talk to them. I didn't get anyone yet, but it's something I'd like to do. And I would love to keep interviewing people that are very interesting. Life is interesting. People are interesting. You could literally look at somebody and be like, you're a personal trainer and someone else is a personal trainer, and have two different opinions about different things. And
I mean, let's be real. It's all going to go up from here. So you're great. I mean,
yeah. I would love to do this. It's great. I've always been fascinated by hosting a show, so this has been fun. But enough about me. I wanted to say I was thoroughly impressed with this website. I'm thoroughly impressed with it. Yeah. Like, I'm afraid of change myself. So when someone's like, oh, I'm doing something different, I'm like, why? Why would you do that? It took me like 4 months to finally get on board with the live stuff here. Why would you do that? But I love your magazine. It's nice and smooth, and like I open it and I feel pretty. Like, but I am genuinely excited about this. I've actually like favorited it on my computer so I can go back.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, because it's genuinely interesting. I'm a little bit more of the food and travel and nicer things. I love seeing like millionaire shows where they go to these giant houses. It's so exciting to see. But I just wanted to leave you with that because I think change is always good. I'm glad you still have the magazine. I feel better. My anxiety's down.
Yeah, we're not going to get rid of something that has been a legacy of ours. It's just we're now doing things a little differently. That's all.
I love it. And so if anybody wants to, first of all, get the recipe for the no-bake cheesecake that I've been talking about, because I'm excited about it, bhlmagazine.com/no-bake-cheesecake, or just go to the website, click on food, and you can scroll down, and even the past posts are on there, which is great. But Mark, this is my first.
Yeah, you did so well.
Yes.
So proud of you. For he's a jolly good fella. For he's a jolly good fella. For he's a jolly good fella that nobody can deny.
Thank you. I want to also say that what people missed, unfortunately, because I can't show it because of licensing with Disney, is Mark serenaded me a little bit of Frozen 2 in between our little takes. So thank you for that. But
FYI, guys, he's being really kind by not telling you, but I'll tell you, I started crying.
I wasn't going to say anything.
But listen, people need to know it's that powerful of a song. Into the Woods by Jonathan Groff.
Oh, God.
I'll say that.
But we will leave it at that. bhlmagazine.com. Check it out. It's absolutely fantastic. If you want more information about it, please check that out. I'm about to end with my hashtags. Hashtag not me, us. Hashtag our revolutions. Hashtag Black Lives Matter. Wash your fucking hands. Wear a fucking mask. And have everyone a fantastic week. Mark, thank you so much.
I love you, sir. And I'm grateful to have been here. And you're anytime you want to bail on me and then reschedule, I'm here.
God damn it. That is not how I'm ending this show. You're welcome. And thanks for bailing on me before. Have a good one. Thank you.
Bye, buddy.